Hey guys, and welcome back to the Flourish Birth vlog. So today we are continuing our series on common concerns during labor and delivery. And another common concern that we get is the cord being wrapped around the baby's neck. So today we're going to talk about that a little bit to maybe hopefully alleviate any anxiety about that.
Yeah, so I know anyone who's ever talked about labor and birth, you've always heard those stories where something bad happened or someone's rushed in for an emergency cesarean and, you know, they say, oh, the cord was wrapped around your baby's neck this many times and so, you know, like that's why we had to do this. So a lot of times it's made to sound like this really scary thing that makes people think that if it's happening that it could hurt your baby. The big thing to remember is that many times that is actually just kind of like a scapegoat. The cord may have been around the baby's neck, but it may not have been the reason for whatever problems the baby was having. So it's super, super common for cords to be wrapped around babies' necks, and cords and your uterus and everything is designed for that to happen and for it not to be a big deal.
Right.
So there's a couple things that help that not be a big deal. So the first thing is how the uterus is designed with the cord and with the placenta, and the second thing is how the cord is actually designed. So the cord is actually filled with this wondrous stuff called Wharton's jelly, and it is designed to protect the cord and keep it nice and big and fat, to keep that blood flow going and to keep it from being able to wrap too tightly around things such as the neck, cutting off blood supply. So you know, in nature, cords get wrapped around babies' necks. It just happens.
They're really long, and so when the baby is in utero, they're moving, they're dancing, they're flipping. It's really common for these cords to be wrapped around their neck because it's just kind of what happens. It wraps around them.
Yeah. And so the reason why it wouldn't be a problem in labor usually any more than it would be a problem while you're pregnant is because of how the whole body works together. So when you're in labor and you're progressing, and your cervix is opening, that cervix is not just disappearing. Your uterus is one whole muscle. So what's actually happening is the bottom of the uterus is actually moving up into the top of the uterus. And as labor progresses, the top of the uterus gets stronger and stronger, and the bottom of the uterus gets thinner and thinner. And that's why your contractions get stronger and stronger as you go on, because that muscle gets stronger where it's pushing
baby
from
down.
the top.
Right.
So as you're progressing and baby's moving down, your uterus is actually getting shorter with your baby. So that tension on the cord is staying the same. It's not getting tighter as baby comes out. And this is true even when your baby is crowning, when their head is out. That uterus has actually shrunk around the baby and is getting smaller and smaller, so that when your baby comes out, your uterus isn't as big as it was when your baby was completely inside. Your uterus is going to clamp right down and push out your placenta, and it shrinks as it pushes everything out. So that tension doesn't get more and more, causing more pressure on the baby than when you were actually just pregnant.
Right.
So there are several things we can do, providers can do as babies coming out for babies that have cord around the neck.
Right. So when the baby comes out, usually it's almost always head first, and when the head emerges, you can see the cord wrapped around the neck. So it's very common that when this happens, we see it. The provider, the doctor, the midwife will just pop their finger in and pull it off from around their neck, just unravel it right before, because the head, I should say, the head comes out usually in one contraction and then it stops, and then with the next contraction, baby is frequently born. So there is that pause, and there is plenty of time to take it off and unwrap it, and no harm, no foul.
So it definitely depends on your provider. Many providers will do that. Other providers do what's called the somersault maneuver, and it's actually, it's pretty cool. I've seen it done before. It's where they just kind of like hold the baby's head up a little bit, and the baby's body, and this can happen if the cord's a little bit tighter, can actually somersault out so that it's not the baby's head coming out making the cord tighter. So the baby's body just kind of flips out and the head stays in the same place. And then once they're all the way out, babies just unroll the baby, and it's good to go. Yeah.
So I hope that alleviates some of your all's concerns. It's not something that is life-threatening for the baby. Very, very rarely. And if you guys have any questions or concerns about that, talk to your provider and your doctor, your midwife. They are your what if experts. What if this situation happens? How do we handle it? And usually just talking to them and kind of releasing that fear a little bit will
Yep.
will help you have a better birth experience, because you don't want that in your head space while you're laboring.
Affecting those happy hormones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So release those fears, and also we as your doulas during our prenatal visits, when you have those fears, we have information and articles that we can send you to help show you the studies and statistics and how we got the information that we're sharing with you, so that you can know that it really isn't as scary as we hear most of the time.
Yeah. I hope that helps you guys, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.